Hi, I know you're ready to kill me because this is 2 days in a row of a video. But I promise I'll be back on Monday. This is Friday. Promise. Friday, 8/17. I know this is not a fun way to learn, but I am doing the video. If you don't understand it, just keep rewatching it until you understand it. I'll be teaching you live on Monday. So students, today you're going to be able to find the slope and a y-intercept of a line given the equation of line. Some of you already did that on the first day. I gave you an equation and it said what's the slope, what's the y-intercept. So we're going to talk about that here, and then we're going to convert an equation from standard form to slope-intercept form and vice versa. And we're going to interpret the slope-intercept form in application. That means a word problem. So this got kind of run off a little bit. I apologize. This is supposed to say y equals, and this one's supposed to say ax plus by equals c. So fill those in. This is slope-intercept form. Basically, slope-intercept form is the form you want to get if you're trying to graph by hand or use your graphing calculator. In this form, whatever the coefficient of x is the slope. That number in front of x is the slope. It determines what the angle of your line is. Is it going up from left to right, down from left to right? Is it a zero slope or is it undefined? The b is where it crosses the y-axis. So it says right here, m is the slope, but the b is the y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y-axis, whatever that number is. So if that's a 2, it crosses the y-axis at 2. Now, standard form is a good way to do it if you're trying to write it from a word problem. Sometimes it's nice. Standard form is just a good way to write it if you're trying to solve two equations simultaneously, when you're trying to combine them. There are its reasons, but slope-intercept form is always the best way if you're just trying to graph it. It's better to solve equations when it's this way. So in this one, it says a, b, and c are integers. That means like integers are like negative numbers or positive numbers or 0. No fractions, no decimals. So whole numbers and their opposite, whole. So let's write that down. No fractions, no decimals allowed in standard form. But in slope-intercept form, we're allowed to have decimals or fractions. So in this first problem, this is slope-intercept form, so fractions are allowed. It says find the slope and the y-intercept of each line. State which form of the equation it is in. If it is in standard form, then convert it to slope-intercept form. If it's in slope-intercept form, they want you to convert it to standard. So this is slope-intercept form, which means when it's in slope-intercept form, you can actually tell me the slope and tell me the y-intercept. And they did say find that. Find the slope and y-intercept. So m is 3/5. That's your slope. The y-intercept is -2. Now, it says to put it in standard form. To do that, you need to get rid of the fraction. So you remember how we did the fractions in the last equation? I said if there are fractions, you multiply by the LCM. In this one, there's only one denominator, so that's what you're multiplying each number by. You're going to multiply everything by 5. Everything. This one, and this one. So what's 5 times y? 5y. In this one, the 5's cancel, and you're left with 3x minus 2. So notice there's no fractions or decimals, but it's not in standard form. Standard form means your x and y are on the same side. I call it Xavier and Yolanda. Xavier and Yolanda. Make sure they're on the same side. So right now we have Yolanda over here, but Xavier's on the other side. So let's bring one of them over. Let's go ahead and bring Xavier over. That's in standard form. See how x and y on the same side? And the constant's over here by itself? That's standard form. So this is standard form. This is slope-intercept form. They want both forms. And they also want you to tell me the slope and the y-intercept. So like lots of things there. So B, is this in slope-intercept form or is it in standard form? This f of x is really a y. So this is in slope-intercept form. The slope is -4 and the y-intercept is 3/5. So to put this in standard form, how are we going to get rid of this fraction 5? This denominator 5. We're going to multiply everything by 5. So in the first one, you're going to get 5y. 5 times negative 4x is negative 20x. And then when you do 5 times 3/5, the 5s are going to cancel, and you end up with plus 3. Is that in standard form? Is Yolanda and Xavier on the same side? Answer, no. Add 20x to this side, and you get 20x plus 5y equals 3. This is standard form. This is slope-intercept form. In slope-intercept form, you can tell me the slope and the y-intercept. C is in slope-intercept form. The y-intercept is actually 0. So the slope is negative 3/2, and the y-intercept is 0. To put it in standard form, what do you think you can multiply both terms by to get rid of this 2? Because you have to get rid of the fractions. You should multiply both sides by 2, because that's the common denominator. What's 2 times y? 2y. Cancel your 2's, and you end up with negative 3x. Is that in standard form? Is Xavier and Yolanda on the same side? Answer, no. So let's get them on the same side. Let's add Xavier to the other side. So you have 3x plus 2y. They're on the same side, which is what you want. Now these cancel, so it's just equal to 0, and this is called standard form. This is slope-intercept form. That's standard form. Now this one is in standard form. See how Xavier and Yolanda are on the same side? This one is standard form. Now when it's in standard form, it's kind of hard to say what the slope and y-intercept is. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to put it in slope-intercept form, which means solve for y. Get y by itself. We wanted to get it to look like this. Because once it's like that, we can tell the slope and the y-intercept. So what would I like to do to get y by itself? I want to get it by itself. Means we need to get rid of this 3x term. So we're going to subtract the whole 3x term to the other side. So carry down that subtraction. I like to write the x term first. So it's negative 3x plus 4. Next, divide by negative 4. So these cancel. You get y equals 2 negatives make a positive 3/4. And 4 divided by negative 4 is negative 1. This is slope-intercept form. Once it's in slope-intercept form, you can tell me the slope and the y-intercept. What's the slope? 3/4. What's the y-intercept? Negative 1. This one is also in standard form. Letter E. We got to get y by itself. So how do you get rid of the x? Subtract it because it's positive. Cancel. Bring down the subtraction. Write the negative x first, followed by the 2. You cannot combine them because they're not like terms. How do you get rid of a negative in front of y? You divide every term by negative 1. That 2 negatives make a positive y. 2 positives make a positive x. 1 negative stays negative. Negative 2. That's slope-intercept form. So what is the slope? Slope is 1. That's a 1 over 1 right there. Slope is 1, and the y-intercept is negative 2. Then this one, solving for y. This is in standard form. Subtract 40x. Okay, you guys understand the first step? How do you get y by itself? Divide by 55, divide by 55, divide by 55. So the 55's cancel and you get y equals. What number goes into 40 and 55? Hopefully you're saying 5. How many times does 5 go into negative 40? Negative 8 times. How many times does 5 go into 55? 11 times. 5 goes into 105 21 times. 5 goes into 55 11 times. This is slope-intercept form. The slope is negative 8/11, and the y-intercept is 21/11. Ugly answer. Sometimes that happens. G. Y equals negative 7. Let me show you what that looks like. This is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. So if I said y equals negative 7, you would go down to negative 7 on the y-axis. And then you would draw a horizontal line through it. That's how you draw it. Who remembers from yesterday what the slope is of this one? The slope is 0. The y-intercept is -7. It crosses the y-axis at -7. This technically is in standard form, and it is in slope-intercept form, so you don't do anything different to that equation. You can just read it, tell me the slope is 7. The slope is 0, and the y-intercept is -7. Now in this one, you do have to solve for x. That's in standard form. X equals 1. You cannot solve for y because there is no y. The graph of this is a vertical line through 1, like this. What kind of slope does that have? Slope is undefined. The y-intercept in this one? Nothing. Why is it nothing? Why does it not have a y-intercept? Hopefully you're saying because it doesn't touch the y. This is the y-axis. See how nothing touches it? So no y-intercept, no slope. So to summarize, horizontal lines have an m, which is the slope, is 0. Vertical lines, m is undefined. Give me an equation. If it has a horizontal line, it's always going to say y equals something. So just make it like y equals 2. Or y equals 4. Or y equals 6. It's always y equals. If it's undefined, it's always going to be x equals, like x equals 4. Or x equals 5. Or x equals 6. Okay, word problems. Don't be afraid of the word problems. Upon takeoff, a Delta Airline jet climbs to 3 miles as it passes over 25 miles of land. So here's you know how planes take off? It climbs to 3 miles. Okay? It climbs to 3 miles. That means it's 3 miles from the ground, high, this way. As it passes over 25 miles of land. It passes over 25 miles of land as it is rising. Here's the plane. It's rising, rising, rising. It's crossing over 25 miles of land as it's rising. So the rise is 3, the run is 25. Your slope then would be 3 over 25 because it's always rise over run. That's it. B, the average income of an American man over 25 with an associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree, is approximated by this linear equation right here, where x is the number of years since after 1997. Now, 1997 was 21 years ago. You guys weren't even born then, okay? But so 21 years ago, this was the equation that was used in all the business magazines. It says, predict the average income of an American man with an associate's degree in 2005. So it started in 97. How many years is there between 97 and 2005? Your answer should be 8 years. Now, what are we going to do with the 8 years? We're going to let x equal 8. So in this problem, we're going to find f of 8. So in the problem, you're going to have 154.5 times 8 plus 33,858.4. Okay, so I am going to have to dig out a calculator somewhere. Hopefully I have one handy. Let me find one. I think I have one here. Okay, here's one. So we're going to type in, I got my graphing calculator, 154.5 times 8, that's 8 years, plus 33,858.4 equals. That means the average income of an American man in 2005 was $35,094.40. That was in 2005 with a 2-year degree. That's not a lot. I mean, it's probably more than you guys make now, but it's not a lot if you want to have a wife and kids or your own place and your own car and stuff like that. So, second part, find and interpret the slope of the equation. The slope of the equation, m, is 154. Oh, you know what? I think I may have messed up here. I just realized I didn't see this number. Wait a minute. This is 1545. I just did 154. I had a 0.5. It's actually, I have to redo this. See, guys, I didn't put all the numbers in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press second enter. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get rid of this decimal here. Let's go ahead and get rid of the decimal. I'm going to delete that decimal. I'm going to insert a decimal. I should have just typed the whole thing in. Let's see if this is right. So we got 1545. Let me make sure that's right this time. 0.4 times 8 plus 33,000. Okay, this should be right. Sorry, I was wrong. It is $46,221. That's better. He's making more money now. Thank goodness. That's better. $46,221.60. So the slope was $1,545.40. It says interpret that. That means every year the average male gets a raise of $1,545.40 every year. So whatever you made the year before, you can tack on another $1,545 the next year. Every year he goes up a little over $1,500. So slopes like rise or they go down. They either go up, 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 or they go down, 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 down by the same number. That's what slope means. The y-intercept, B, is this, the 33,858.4, which means 40 cents. What do you think that means? That means when the man got out of college, this was his starting salary. The starting salary in 1997 was $33,858.48. That's what, when he got out of college and he went and interviewed for his job, they said, you can start here, but you're going to start out at $33,858. But after 8 years, he was making $46,000. That sounds better, right? Should we figure out what it would be in 2018? How many years are there from 2018 to here? 21 years? Let's do this. So I'm going to go back. Watch this. I'm going to press second enter. I'm going to go back to the 8. I'm changing the 8 to 21 years. 2, but I don't have a space here, so I have to press second delete, which is really insert. I'm going to put a 1 there. 21 years. So this year, that same man would be making $66,000, $311. That's better, but that's 21 years. He's probably a teacher. Teachers don't make anything. Sounds like a teacher. Now, in part 3, in what year would the average income be $45,000? Well, it's in 8 years, it was $46,000, so it's less than 8 years. So let's see. We're going to set $45,000 equal to the rest of this, and we're going to solve for x. We're solving for how many years and what year? So we're solving for x. So let's subtract 33,858.4 from this side. So we're going to go 45,000 minus 33,858.4. That is 3,141.6. That's 11,141.6, which is 60 cents. All that equals this. And to get rid of this number, we're going to divide both sides by 1545.4. I don't have any room left. I write too big. So you take this number right here and you divide it by 1545, which is the slope, 0.4. So it says x is about 7.2 years. In about 7.2 years, he'll be making about $45,000, which makes sense. It should be less than 8 because 8 was 46,000. Part C, one of the faster growing occupations over the next few years is expected to be a paralegal. Someone that works for the lawyers. They take notes for the lawyers. Paralegals, they do some research for the lawyers. The number of people, in thousands employed as paralegals in the U.S. can be estimated by this linear equation right here. Now, I don't know the slope. Someone tell me why I wouldn't know the slope by looking at this versus this one. Do you guys see how this one is? This f of x is really y. This is in slope-intercept form. Whenever you know whenever it says y equals, that's slope-intercept form. You can say slope, y-intercept. But the y is not by itself here. So you have to actually solve for y before you can answer questions. So let's write this equation over here and let's solve for y. So let's add 63x to the other side. And then divide everything by 10. So that's 6.3x plus 188. This is your slope-intercept form. So find the slope and y-intercept of the equation. So the slope is 6.3. Now, remember when it says y in thousands? 6.3 thousandths means that if you took the decimal and moved it 3 places, 1, 2, 3, because there's 3 zeros in thousands, that would be 6,300. Okay? Which means that paralegals go up about 6,300. See right here it says, what does the slope mean? It means paralegals are increasing by 6,300 paralegals every year. That's how many new ones start working every year. 6,300 new paralegals are employed. What does the y-intercept mean? The y-intercept, B, is 188. Now remember, this is in thousands. So if you take 188, there's the decimal, and you moved it 3 places. 1, 2, 3. That is 188,000. So it means that in 1996, that's this year right here, there were 188,000 paralegals employed. And it's on the rise by about 6,300 every year. So you just keep adding to this number. You keep adding 6,300 every year. And what year will the expected number of paralegals reach? 375,000. This is when you take this number and set it equal to this one. Except this one has the zeros and this one doesn't. So you either have to take the zeros out or add move the decimal 3 places over here. I think it's easier just to take the zeros out because everything's in thousands, so they kind of just move the decimals back. That's kind of confusing, I know. But these, you took the zeros out, and that still had it in. So you subtract this. So 375 minus 188. That would be a challenge question. It's 187. Divide both sides by 6.3, and you get 29.7. So about 30 years. So if you take 1996 and add 30 years, it'd be what, about 2026. In the year 2026, you'll have about 375,000 paralegals. Okay, that's the notes.